What if I told you manifestation isn't wishful thinking? It's not magic. It's not delusion. And it's definitely not just for the spiritually enlightened with Himalayan salt lamps and full moon rituals. It's for anyone with a brain. Because here's the science. You don't attract what you want. You attract what your brain has been trained to look for, on repeat. Let me explain. Your brain has a system, a filter, called the reticular activating system, or RAS. It's located at the base of your brainstem, and it has one job: to decide what gets your attention and what doesn't. You are constantly bombarded with millions of bits of sensory data. Sights, sounds, smells, conversations, flashing lights, movement, colors, inputs from every direction, and your brain can't possibly process it all. So what does the RAS do? It cuts through the noise. It filters reality based on what you've told it is important, consciously or unconsciously. If you constantly think about failure, you'll start seeing evidence of failure everywhere. You'll miss the opportunity that was right in front of you because your brain filtered it out. It didn't match your programming. But if you begin training your RAS to expect success, if you show it what matters to you consistently, you'll start noticing connections, ideas, resources, people, and patterns you were literally blind to before. Not because they magically appeared, because your filter changed. That's manifestation at the neurological level. And here's where it gets deeper. Let's talk about neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself through repeated thoughts, behaviors, and experiences. Every time you visualize something, your brain fires the same neural circuits as if you were doing it in real life. That's not spiritual fluff. That's been proven in fMRI studies. In fact, elite athletes, Olympians, world champions, have used visualization for decades to mentally rehearse winning, performing, executing under pressure. And their brains respond as if they're actually running the race, scoring the goal, or landing the move. You know what that means? When you sit quietly and imagine yourself living a new reality, you're not daydreaming. You're building neural pathways. You're laying down cognitive infrastructure for behavior to follow. You're literally installing new circuitry. That's how identity begins to shift. Now here's something that will really blow your mind. Your brain doesn't know the difference between real and vividly imagined experiences. It reacts based on input, whether the experience came from your environment or your imagination. If it's emotionally charged and repeated, the brain records it as real. That's why trauma affects people long after the event, because the brain keeps firing that pattern. But that's also why healing and transformation are possible, because you can install new patterns by choice. Think about what that means for manifestation. You're not just writing affirmations. You're not just repeating mantras. You're installing a new self-image. You're coding your brain with a new identity. And once identity shifts, behavior becomes automatic. You don't have to try to be disciplined if you believe you're someone who shows up consistently. You don't have to fake confidence if your brain has rehearsed confidence so many times it defaults to it under pressure. You don't have to chase worthiness if you've trained your nervous system to feel worthy already. Now let's talk about the placebo effect. The inconvenient little phenomenon that breaks every rule in Western medicine. People have undergone fake surgeries and healed. They've taken sugar pills and watched their symptoms disappear. Not because the treatment worked, because they believed it would. And their belief triggered biological change. Blood pressure lowered, pain vanished, diseases went into remission. If belief can literally heal the body at the cellular level, what do you think it can do to your habits, your behavior, your decisions? Belief isn't just powerful, it's physiological. But here's the part no one tells you. Your brain doesn't care whether your beliefs are empowering or destructive. It just installs them. It's your job to choose which ones stay. Manifestation is not about sitting around waiting for miracles. It's about training your internal GPS to expect something different, and then walking in alignment with that expectation. That's why fake it till you make it sort of works. Because repetition becomes reality, not through magic, through myelination, through neural reinforcement, through embodied repetition. And let's go one level deeper. Your nervous system also plays a huge role. When you think a thought repeatedly, your body starts to feel like it's already true. That's why you can get anxious about a situation that hasn't happened, because your body already believes it's real. But you can reverse engineer that. You can feel gratitude before the thing arrives. You can embody success before the achievement. And your body will begin to regulate itself around that experience. This is where brain meets body, where thought meets feeling, where science meets intention. Manifestation isn't about manipulating external circumstances. It's about mastering internal coherence, creating such alignment between thought, belief, feeling, and action. That reality has no choice but to mirror it. So no, you don't need to beg the universe. You don't need to chase signs or decode angel numbers. You need to train the filter, rewire the system, choose the identity, and rehearse it until it becomes reflex, because you won't manifest what you want. You'll manifest what you are, and who you are is who you practice being every single day. So write the vision. Feel it as if it's done. Speak it like it's normal. Act like it's inevitable. Your brain doesn't need convincing. It just needs consistency. And when your identity shifts, your reality will rearrange itself to match it. That is the science behind manifestation. And here's where most people get it wrong. They wait until the evidence appears before they shift their mindset. They wait until they see proof, money in the account, success on paper, love in the room, before they allow themselves to believe it's real. But your brain doesn't work that way. It doesn't follow reality. It creates it. Your internal state, the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions you practice daily, becomes the script that your external life starts to perform. You think it's just positive thinking? Let me break it to you gently. That's kindergarten. The real shift is in identity, and identity is subconscious. You don't manifest what you think about occasionally. You manifest what you embody consistently. Your subconscious is absorbing your self-talk, your reactions, your stories, and reinforcing them on a loop. That loop is what builds the architecture of your reality. So ask yourself, what loop have you been running? Because if you're rehearsing doubt, fear, limitation, your brain will automate that. But if you're rehearsing power, worth, certainty, your brain will automate that. And here's the real kicker. Your environment starts adapting to match. People respond to your energy differently. Opportunities arise where none existed before. Your choices evolve, which shifts your outcomes. And soon, what used to feel impossible starts to feel normal. Not because you forced reality to change, but because you finally aligned with a version of yourself that could hold it.